Hey, good morning, everybody. Here's Sean from Voices from the Dirt Road. Glad to see you on another great Friday. Let me look right here. This is our 32nd episode. Can you believe that? Every day we're blessed to bring in good information to you. That we laser focus on the rural community. I just want to take a little few minutes this morning. Not going to hold you too long. I know many of the farmers are out there saying, "Yes, we get some rain. We finally got the grass growing. We finally can get some crops in the ground." So that is a win across the board. I know it's a holiday weekend and it may mess up some people's um, holiday plans, but let us remember what Memorial Day is all about. But at the end of the day, I just want to make sure tell you have a safe weekend out there. Have a great time with your family, and also from the farmer's point of view, hey, I am so glad that this week and even going into this weekend, a little bit of next week, it looks like we're in a rainy pattern here in Georgia. Can't speak for the entire country, but we need it. We still need a lot more rain to get complete out of this drought, but that's where we at. So hey, let me talk about why we do this show. And can you put the stool up so I can kind of walk all our new viewers into it? All right. Our show was put together to focus us 100% on the rural community and on the agriculture community. The way we have it structured is this: we have a stool that actually focus on three different areas and supported by one. That three different areas is livestock. As y'all guys know, I'm a cattle producer. I raise cattle here in Northwest Georgia. And on top of that, I was raised on a farm in Southwest Georgia where we did peanuts, soybeans, cattle, and cotton. And we still raise those things today on that farm back down there. But I was blessed to do 40 years in the military and did come up here, buy my own farm. And after 3 years, we up and running, and we continue to try to improve and learn and share information with you. On the flip side of the coin, we have the row crop side of the house. Those are the guys that are planting those peanuts, soybeans, and everything else. And they also, like me, dealing with the drought. And then we also have the forestry. The forestry is the side of the house where we actually have all our trees, or from anyone from the peach trees that we have in the state to pine trees to oak trees to nut trees, you name it, that is forestry. And then back in all of that is the USDA, and the USDA is under Secretary Rollins, and then it comes down to the state level. We'll talk a little bit about our state level too today, but they are the ones behind the scenes to help us as we move forward, because right now in the world of agriculture, it's pretty tough, got a lot of different things going on, and we'll unpack that as we move forward. And then ultimately at the top of our stool where you sit is the farm bill. And the farm bill currently, right now, we'll talk more detail, but the farm bill that we're working off right now is still 2018. A lot of things is being tried to be worked, and I'll get into more details a little bit later on to the show. But at the end of the day, we got to get this farm bill passed, and we got to make sure that we take care of our farmers across the board. And maybe we got to open up new avenues to get younger farmers into agriculture so that they can get in here and actually make a profit. Because I'm very concerned that our farmers, like me, we're getting older, and if we don't open up some ways that younger farmers get into it, a way of life and being able to feed the American people may actually go away. So that's the gist of this show. This is why we do it. We're excited to actually have people on there, and we're focusing on and speaking directly to what's going on in the agriculture community or the rural community. Now, let me just give you a quick little update on what's going on the farm, just real fast. This week, we were blessed to get rain. That's probably the biggest story for the whole state, is that we're in a rainy pattern. I think sometimes when you pray for rain, you say, yes, that is awesome. But I think sometimes you can actually get too much rain. And I think probably some of y'all guys saw because it made the national news in Atlanta. I think 2 days ago, they got 3.5 inches of rain in less than an hour, and the system itself could not keep up with it. So they started flooding out some of the major highways up there. But at the end of the day, none of us are complaining about the rain because we need it. and we needed to make the grass grow. We need to get some crops in the ground. And if we already got crops in the ground, we need that rain to actually move forward. And here on my farm, I'm not sure if we have a quick little video of where I was actually out checking the cows. My wife, Carla, she was driving by and she caught me out there. So please don't laugh at me. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to show it to you, but please don't laugh at me because I just had my shorts on and I definitely didn't have any lotion on my little legs out there. But, you know, my cows don't judge me at all. And that's the cool thing about farming. You just get out there and do what you can do. But I just need to get out there that afternoon and check on them. So I'm not sure if we have that video or not, but that's okay. If we do have it, go on and play it there, please. Here we go. Look at those little legs. Boy, I should put some lotion on those legs. But at the end of the day, the cattle is all about taking care of your cows, taking care of your animals, and making sure that they respect you, you respect them. So no matter what I'm doing, no matter it's 7 days a week. That's what it is, guys. It's 7 days a week. Everybody that's in agriculture will tell you that 7 days a week, no matter what I'm doing, I got to go out there and check on them. And as soon as I finish this show this morning, boom, I'm going right out the door, rain or shine, and check on those cows and kind of go from there. Like I mentioned a few weeks ago, we just finished doing the AI process, trying to get those cows pregnant. We bought in a bull that we call a cleanup bull. And now that bull has actually been out there for about 22 days now. And a couple of cows have came back in heat. So he's in the process of getting them pregnant right now. And if I remember right, I got my notes somewhere, is 3 of those cows that didn't take the AI process, but he's right there to get them pregnant. And that's fine because next year, when we have our calving season, my goal is to have all our calves within 30 to 45 days of each other. And that'll be perfect. But I'll talk more about that a little bit further down the road. So let's just jump right into our show today. What I want to do is kind of go from my farm and just basically go outside my driveway and talk about buy local. I think it's so important right now that all of us with the high cost of everything is to let's make sure that we take care of our farmers, let's take care of our neighbors, let's take care of everybody. And when you go in the grocery store, if you see where it says buy local and it's that those peaches or those watermelons or those whatever it is, or have the buy local on it sticker, please purchase that because that's helping a farm that's very close to your house. And I was very excited to see where our ag commissioner, Harper, is pushing this also. I'm in full agreement with him. And I just want to share this with you. I'm not sure if all the stores are doing it, but I do know Kroger's doing it. And today when I go over to Cedartown, I'm going into Cedartown's Kroger, and I'm going to make sure that I buy something local because, again, I raise cattle. That means I need to buy everything else from the grocery store. So I want to make sure that I'm supporting our farmers. Can we play that video of the update that our commissioner is actually doing, which he's doing an awesome job?
Seeing those grocery prices still climbing, and now the fight over beef prices is splitting the White House.
Well, here in Georgia, Kroger is betting that shoppers go in a different direction, buying Georgia grown with new tags that are meant to steer your money back to local farm families. Atlanta News First reporter Abby Kasuris is live in the produce section at Kroger. Abby, right now, does that label actually help at the register?
Yes, that's right. We spoke with some shoppers today, and they said they're looking for both flavor and price. So take a look at these beautiful Georgia peaches. Not only are they delicious and tasty, but this one is from Fort Valley, from Pearson Farms. It's about 2 hours to get to that orchard. It's a lot cheaper to get these peaches here than it is to get some from, say, California.
In this aisle, people aren't just browsing. They're doing math and making fast calls.
Prices are so high these days.
Claudette Dillard says she still looks for Georgia grown, especially Vidalia onions, a Georgia staple.
That's also more money, tax money for our state if we purchase things that are grown in the state.
Kroger calls it local makes sense. The point, make local easy to spot and easier to choose.
Nothing's better than catching those peaches and pulling them right off the tree, putting one in your mouth.
Oh yeah, your local's tags. Yes, ma'am.
And today, the state's top ag official, Commissioner Tyler Harper, is here too, walking the store, snapping photos, and pushing the stakes beyond dinner tonight.
95% of our farms in our great state are family-owned operations. So when you buy Georgia grown, when you buy American grown, you're supporting a family down the street.
Families want lower prices now, but Harper warns drought, wildfires, and rising costs can shrink what farms produce, and that can push prices up later.
Farm families who pour their blood, sweat, and tears into this every single day.
And the price fight isn't just happening in Georgia. Politico reports President Donald Trump's plan to ease beef import tariffs is on hold after infighting because imports could lower costs for shoppers, but undercut the cattle industry. Harper also warns imported products don't always face the same standards and says Georgia farmers can't compete on an uneven playing field.
If they're not able to be successful and unfortunately they're not able to compete in the marketplace and we see them diminish or go away, that means we become more reliant on foreign sources of food.
Harper's argument is this: Georgia grown keeps food close, keeps farms alive, and gives shoppers confidence in what they're taking home.
I'm looking for things that I like to eat and things that are on sale.
And next up, expect to see a lot more Georgia-grown items in the grocery store, especially with all this signage. You don't always realize how much is grown or produced right here in Georgia. Reporting live in the produce section, putting a few of these in my basket. Abby Kasoris, Atlanta News First.
Yeah, getting that shopping done. Thanks, Abby.
All right, as you can see there, please go out wherever you live here in the United States, but also here in Georgia. Go to Kroger's. Again, I'm not sure about the other grocery stores, but at least Kroger is participating, and go and buy local to support your local farmers. Give us a couple years here on 07 Farms. Like I said, we started this farm 3 years ago. We're a cow-calf operation, but we have already discussed that somewhere in the future, when I say somewhere in the future, I'm talking about the next 6 months to a year out, we will actually start selling beef directly to the consumer. We call it from farm to table. But give us a little time. We want to make sure we work everything out, but we will become one of those local farms that actually produce something that local people within 50 to 100 miles of us can purchase. So again, 100% support your farmers across the board, because right now with all the input costs and everything else that's going on, as they mentioned in the video, the president had to put his plan on hold when it came to beef, because the Cattlemen Association and other associations said, no, stop. You're going to mess everything up. So they put it on hold. They're still going to be trying to work it out. But again, like our Secretary of Agriculture said, Mr. Harper here in Georgia, just because you get a piece of beef or something else that comes out of another country doesn't mean it was raised the same way, and don't mean it was actually went through the same quality check. So again, we want to make sure that we can compete with anybody around the world, but we also want to make sure that when the consumer, which is you, get the product, that you make the choice. Do you want it locally? Do you want it from the United States, or do you want it internationally? Only thing that we're saying is put a sticker on it and make sure it's plain and clear so everybody can clearly understand what they're buying and why they're buying it. So with that, let's move a little bit and start talking about the Farm Bill. Let me give you a quick little update on the Farm Bill. As y'all guys know, I mentioned last week that the Farm Bill had made it from the House and went over to the Senate. I think some people thought that as soon as it went over to the Senate, they were going to pass it and all that. It is currently inside a committee over in the Senate. There's still a lot of discussion going on. I think it's still going to be a while before it actually gets out of the Senate, because the Senate right now, as of yesterday, the Senate actually went home, went on recess, and they won't be back until June 1st, if I'm not mistaken. And I think June 1st is the day they go back. I'm not sure if that's the day they actually start working again, but I think it's June 1st is when they actually go back. So right now, it's a lot of friction points when it comes to that Farm Bill. And one of the friction points is how we're going to take care of our farmers when they get in financial problems. And many of those financial problems that they're currently in is made by us or made by our country when it comes to the tariffs, when it comes to high costs, when it comes to what's going on in Iran with the war, and then just fuel costs and the diesel costs. So these are the pressures that are actually affecting our farmers. And right now, inside of that committee, that's one of the things they're wrestling with, is to say, okay, the Farm Bill for many, many years focused on making sure that if you had a natural disaster, how could it help you and get you back on your feet? Right now, it looks like they're trying to discuss, hey, it's a lot more things happening than a natural disaster that are causing many of our farmers to actually go into bankruptcy. Chapter 12. I encourage you to actually look up that particular bankruptcy that farmers are going into, because right now, I believe that, like I said, Senate doesn't go back and the House doesn't go back until June 1st. As y'all guys know, we getting further and further into the midterm season. Elections are going to be in November, and I believe, unfortunately, that our Farm Bill may be a victim of straight up politics of everybody has good intentions, but the clock is going to run out. But I pray that it don't. But I'm also a realist, and I want to make sure that our farmers are preparing themselves for that. If we don't get a Farm Bill, we actually continue to move forward and go from there. So we'll give you more information on that. I don't think I'm going to be able to give you an update next week because, like I said, they don't come back until June 1st, but we'll continue to follow that. I know Senator Warnock, our own senator, Reverend Warnock, he is on the Ag Committee. So in the future, we'll see if he's put anything out and can get some updates from that, but we'll continue to track it very closely. But that's your update on what's going on with the Farm Bill. Continue to watch it very closely, and we'll see what happens. Now let's step back out just a little bit higher. You know, I mentioned bankruptcy, but before I talk the bankruptcy, let me go international, because I think some of y'all guys know that I spent a lot of years. I'm not going to say how many years, but I spent a lot of years in the military, in the Middle East, and when it comes to the Iran war, I spent I've never been to Iran, don't want to go to Iran, but I have spent a lot of time running around the Middle East, so I'm very familiar with the region. I understand the Strait of Hormuz, and now how all of those things that are currently going on in this war that we're in the middle of a ceasefire. We'll see how that holds out, but how these things are affecting us now on the farm. And what I mean by affecting us on the farm, we got incredible costs now when it comes to gas, but specifically diesel, because diesel affects the farmers when it comes to the tractors, but at the same time, it affects all the truck drivers that bring that food that we talked about, that local food and any kind of food to our grocery stores. Now is an additional surcharge on it based on the distance that they're coming. And like I talked about earlier, it's cheaper to buy something that's local because it's less diesel cost to actually get it to you. And then in addition to that, we have with the Strait of Hormuz still being closed, we're still dealing with a fertilizer problem. And as of right now, we still don't actually have a solution. I know the Secretary Rollins has been trying to work a long-term solution, and I clap for her on that. However, that long-term solution for fertilizer will not affect farmers today. Matter of fact, we'll talk a little bit more about that next week, depending on how things play out. But whatever solution we come up with fertilizer, we're still talking 1 to 2 years out before we can produce enough fertilizer here in the United States domestically so that the farmers can actually get a break. But right now, we are 100% tied to the Strait of Hormuz, and we're also tied to China on exactly what's happening or what's coming through the Strait of Hormuz. So let me jump into the bankruptcy piece. I'm not sure. Did I have a video on that, or do I need to go right into my bankruptcy? Bankruptcy. Okay, let's talk bankruptcy. Hey guys, behind the scenes, Shelly does an outstanding job. Without Shelly, I wouldn't know what I was doing here on the thing. So Shelley tells me I'm supposed to be talking about bankruptcy chapter 12. Can you pull up the data and I'll just talk it for everybody so they kind of understand what I'm talking about? Okay, chapter 12, bankruptcy. You remember I talked about what was going on overseas and all these kind of things. These are unbelievable pressures that are on our farmers across the board. And if you look at this closely, and we'll post this somewhere. If you look at this closely, this is for a full year from 2022 all the way up to 2026. And then for January, from January to March of 2026, as you can see, we're already at 86. But I want to bring to your attention is every year since 2022, more and more chapter 12 bankruptcies are actually happening. That means more and more farmers are going out of business. Like our like Mr. Harper said, buy local, but if the farmers continue to lose their farms, what I'm worried is somebody else is coming in and buying these things up. And when I say somebody else, that could be corporate America buying them up to build some houses, or somebody else is coming in just to build a neighborhood, local people. But on the flip side of the coin, it could potentially be China, foreign countries coming in and buying. And we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit further in the show. But I want to bring to your attention that it's not easy out here in the farm world. And we have a significant amount of farmers that are actually filing for bankruptcy and across the board. So let me also point this piece out to you. You remember I talked about the whole year. Now I'm just showing you from January to March for 2024, 2025, and now 2026. Think about this and look at it closely. That first quarter, we are already, if you compare 25 to 26, we are running neck and neck right now. In 25, we had 88. Right now, we have 86 here going on. And we're going to get something soon here for the second quarter. So we're going to continue to follow this very closely. It is not getting better at this point because we actually have the pressures of everything that I talked about when it comes to the Iran war, when I talked about high fuel costs, high diesel costs, high fertilizer costs, the inputs are making more and more farmers have to file chapter 12 and actually go out of business. And that's just not good for you. That's not good for our country. And that's not really good for anybody. So that's kind of where we're at on the bankruptcy piece. Hopefully we can get some relief and get things turned around and kind of go from there. I mentioned the China. The president of the United States just went to China last week and had a great discussion, took a lot of CEOs with him. Seems like the trip was very focused on corporate America interests when it comes to AI, those type things. Nothing wrong with that. I was quite surprised that our Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary Rollins, if the focus was on agriculture and our soybean farmers and our whole agriculture industry, why wasn't Secretary Rollins on the trip? But that's just Sean. That, I don't control who gets on the trip, but I was surprised that she wasn't on there. However, we have a readout that says that we have the framework of a good deal when it comes to taking care of our farmers. I want to at least make sure that you understand, because I'm a little different. I understand international business. I understand national security. And when you say the word framework says that you're still in the beginning phases. You don't actually have anything signed and on paper. And basically we went all the way to China and we don't really have any hardcore agreements. We do have something that says we're supposed to sell 17 billion whatever dollars of soybeans and all those kind of things. We're going to get into that document in our next shows, but it looks like to me, when it's all said and done, based on the deal of beef being put in there and other crops, corn and everything else, the soybean farmers may not be getting the deal that they thought they was getting in the long run. It may actually be lower than what they were already doing years back. And on top of that, the key word is a framework. So China has not officially agreed that they're going to purchase these things, and we kind of go from there. So with that, let me play a clip for News Nation. Some of you probably have seen me on News Nation in a different capacity, as speaking as Brigadier General Sean Harris, retired, and speaking on national security issues. And usually I'm talking about the war. I'm talking about China. So just to let you know, I know what I'm talking about. Yes, I'm the farmer. Yes, I'm the guy that's going to go out here and work with the cows. But in this arena, I know what I'm talking about. So let's look at this clip, because it's something that's very, very important that's in this clip that just came out 2 days ago.
Now, meanwhile, the president is touting his recent summit with China's Xi Jinping as a win for the American economy. And the cornerstone is a new farm deal worth tens of billions of dollars. However, it's also digging up national security concerns because that deal fails to stop China from buying American farmland, which, of course, was one of the president's key campaign promises. News Nation national correspondent Xavier Walton has more. Xavier, the administration and Republicans are trying to win over farmers. They see the deal as a win. Explain that.
Marky, good morning. So the Trump administration believes this trade deal is going to essentially help farmers sell more, giving them some much needed relief as the cost of maintenance, basically to keep the farms on. Those costs continue to skyrocket. They continue to go up. The White House says that China is going to buy at least $17 billion in U.S. agricultural products each year, starting now and then running through 2028. And that's on top of earlier soybean purchase commitments. The White House believes, that's a win for farms who saw a major hit to their exports last year when the U.S. and China were locked in a trade war. But the president, he raised eyebrows when he defended Chinese nationals buying U.S. farmland. He told Fox News that blocking some purchases could actually hurt farm values.
Look, it's not that I love it. You want to see farm prices drop? You want to see farmers lose a lot of money? Just take that out of the market. But they've had a lot of land for a long time.
So the national security argument has been China should not control farmland near military bases, critical infrastructure, or sensitive sites. USDA data shows Chinese investors held more than 247,000 acres of U.S. agricultural land at the end of 2024. But it's where those farms were or are in relation to U.S. military bases and other sensitive sites that are raising questions about national security. Remember, less than a year ago, the USDA announced a plan to restrict Chinese farmland purchases. Lawmakers at both federal and local levels are pushing for new restrictions, all while some farmers say they want solutions to the rising farm costs and that they don't think China actually buying up American farmland is necessarily a good long-term solution, Marky.
Yeah, still a lot of questions surrounding this and a lot of people trying to make sense of this latest development here. Xavier Walton, thank you.
Thank you for watching.
Okay, well, as y'all guys can see there, like I mentioned, the trip over to China, we had it. However, it seems like it was some discussions that have kind of backed off some things that we had said some period of time ago, that we were not going to specifically let China buy any more land here in the United States, specifically farmland or any land that's close around our military facilities. It seems as if the administration is starting to back off of that. Hopefully the president just misspoke. We'll see, but we'll be following that closely, because what I mentioned earlier in the show is this. We still have a lot of our farmers that are filing bankruptcy. That means land is going up for sale all over this country and even right here in Georgia. The last thing that we need to do is put ourselves in a situation where foreign countries, specifically China, can come in here and actually buy up all our farmland and do whatever they want to do. That is a national security situation, and I'm going to push back on that very hard. The other piece that I would tell you is I think that as farmers, we need to make sure we get that farm bill passed so that we can actually have money in there, so that if a farmer goes out of business, that a younger farmer can have some ways to actually purchase that land and keep the American dream going before anybody else can get it. Because after you take farmland and turn it into a neighborhood, I call it planting houses, you can't replace it, because now you put all the infrastructure on the ground. It's going to be too expensive to turn it back into farmland. So with that, let's just think about that. Let's keep our eyes on it. That's not political. That is 100%. Hey, I want the United States to always have farmers out there that feeds you and your family here locally. And I want our farmers to always be able to compete internationally and feed the world. But we can't do that unless we actually have the farmland, and we can't do that unless we have somebody that's passionate about agriculture and that's willing to get out there in the rain, snow, and sleet like the mailman and actually do it every day. So that's kind of where we're at on the China front. We're going to continue to watch what is actually going on across the board and kind of go from there. One of the things that I always talk about at the end of my show, but before I touch that, I want to just mention this. You know, we do this show at 7 in the morning on Fridays, and that's awesome. I'm a morning guy. And I thank you for all the viewers that get up and watch us all the time. I want to ask you to do 2 or 3 things for me this week. Go to our page. It's called Voices from the Dirt Road page. Go specifically to that page and actually tell us, would it be better for you as a viewer to have this show go at 7 in the morning or 7 in the morning, or to do it at like 7 or 8 at night on a particular day? I'm open to that. The other piece is, you guys know, when we bring a guest on, usually the show is roughly about an hour, and we usually do that particular show at night so that we can actually have more people viewing it and kind of go from there. So please give us that feedback. And then the other piece is, if you have a particular area of agriculture or a particular subject that touches agriculture in any kind of way that you want us to explore and talk more about, please put that in there, and we will build shows around it to kind of go from there. This show, as far as I'm concerned, is 100% your show. We're doing this to make sure we share information not only with the rural community, but with anybody out there, so that you better understand what is happening out here in the rural community and how it's affecting us. And then at the same time, trying to make sure that the rural community has a voice so that somebody else can maybe see it and touch it and do some things about it, from Washington, D.C. to Atlanta to wherever your home state is. With that being said, we've been talking now this morning for about 33 minutes. That's the normal time of our show, is somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes. One of the things that I always do, because it's very important to me, when I was in the military, it's very important to me when I'm out of the military. As y'all guys know, going into a Memorial Day holiday, let's remember what Memorial Day is all about and why. I still want you to have fun with your families, but let's just remember what Memorial Day is all about. In addition to that, we still have an issue with our veterans committing suicide, but I will also tell you, we have a bigger problem with our farmers committing suicide at a faster rate. And out here in the rural community, we are lacking when it comes to mental health services. So I want to say to all the farmers families, friends of farmers across the board, because I know you have unbelievable pressure on you, because like you, I'm a farmer too. Hell, I feel the pressure. We have prayed and prayed and prayed for rain, and we get it, and we thank the good Lord for it. But it got to a point there, if we weren't going to get some rain, we were going to sell some cows, because you don't have the grass, you can't have the cows, and like it or not. So with that, if you are struggling today or this week, please take this one slide that I have up here, print it out, put it on the refrigerator, put it somewhere where everybody can see it. So before somebody makes a long-term decision for a short-term problem, pick up the phone and just call 988. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, somebody will pick up the phone, a professional, and help you get past that particular crisis. And because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that tomorrow that you are still here with us as a great American, as a great farmer, as a provider for the American people. I know some days are tougher than others, but we will get you over the hump, and they will get you some help. And so I'm talking directly to my farmers, brothers and sisters, but I'm also talking to your families, and I'm talking to your friends that are out there in the rural community. So again, if you're struggling today, call that number 988, and they can help you. With that, there we go. We have made it through. Let me look again up here at the top. Episode 32. I think when we get to episode 50, we're going to have a big celebration because this show here, prior to us starting it, I had never, ever did anything like this in my entire life. So thank y'all guys for supporting us. Thank you for all your feedback. Thank you for coming on every Friday morning, this time of morning, and then following us after the show is over and sharing it with your friends. I would ask you to share it everywhere so we can get more and more followers and kind of go from there. And like I already said, please go and give us some feedback. Tell us if it's good at this time or later in the day. Tell us what topics you want us to talk about, and then tell us whatever we can do for you. Again, hey, Lee, good morning to you too. Thank you for everything. Thank all of y'all guys for everything. And guys, today I actually got my cup. We bought this cup in Seattle years ago. My wife is from Seattle, but the cup is empty. That means the show is over. Have a good week. See you next week.